it's not just house prices this is going to affect. There's going to be a massive environmental, community and a business impact, an adverse impact from HS2.
How will it affect you?
Well, we're an organic sort of greenbelt farm just outside of Leeds, a little wildlife haven east of Leeds, and they want to put a 20-metre high viaduct through our woodland, through our fishing lakes, basically decimate the whole business.
But this won't happen for another, 20 years?
Well, construction could happen in as soon as 6 years, and at the moment we can't invest. They say it'll bring investment, but how can I put money into building a new farm shop or hiring people if I don't know in a few years' time I'm going to have to close down?
So, Ed, do you think, I mean, they're talking about consultation, aren't they? As far as you're concerned, Ed, and as far as the people that live around you, this is happening, yeah? And you're being affected right now? We're being affected right now, yeah. I mean, there's just uncertainty now as to what we can do with our business, whether we can invest. There's, like you say, there's values affected for houses. Right now, we couldn't sell our business if we wanted to, but we could have sold it for, 6 or 7 figures 2 months ago. We've got sites of scientific interest. We've got endangered species on our land, and they don't seem to be concerned with the environmental impact at all. Have you actually looked at an alternative route and suggested, look, hey, why not do this instead, where maybe less people will be affected, or an area that doesn't have so much, residents, if you like, or with businesses?
Yeah, I mean, we have had a meeting with our MP, who has said he'll go to the Secretary of State and ask them to look at alternatives. But if you look through the HS2 documents, there have already been alternative routes into Leeds considered, and then they've settled on East Leeds. And I think they don't know what's in East Leeds because they're working old maps. They've said that the impact will be on sort of former mine workings. When all the mines around us are closed, it's all redeveloped, it's all, being put back to a nice natural scene, and now it's going to be, disrupted again.
Ed, thanks for joining us. That's Ed Cartwright, Swillington Organic Farm and Swillington Park Fisheries. Can't invest in his business, could have sold it for a big figure not too long ago, but HS2 has blighted his life quite clearly. How can this be stopped? If that's the way you feel about it, let's speak to Joe Rukin, the campaign manager even, for Stop HS2. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
Joe, how are you going to stop this from taking place?
Well, we were really surprised a month ago when the government actually announced the routes going north up to Leeds and Manchester, because in December we were in the High Court for 9 days. There were 5 judicial reviews heard, finding out whether what they'd done so far had been legal, and they haven't reported back yet. We haven't had a verdict on whether what the government have done for stage 1 is legal or not. So it's massively arrogant of them to announce stage 2. That obviously is still up in the air. That we could get a verdict on that tomorrow. It could be another month. But that we're very confident that, just as I was saying, they haven't done any of the environmental work. We had a very strong environmental legal challenge for a start. But the real thing is that we're trying to persuade the government that this simply isn't necessary. The government will keep saying, oh, well, it's local issues versus the national interest, because they've deemed it to be in the national interest. And basically they fiddle the figures from start to finish. Again, one of the things that Ed said there was, it's going to destroy his business. The government is saying it's going to be great for business, but they have made no assessment whatsoever about the jobs that will be lost on the 351 miles of HS2. And they've made no environmental assessments yet. On stage 1, we've been waiting 3 years for the environmental impact analysis. That should have been done before they made a decision. It still isn't out yet. We should have a consultation on that sometime soon, but every timescale on this slips. But the real issue is that it's not necessary. We put forward, the 51M group, which is a group of 18 local councils on the southern end of the route, called 51M because they reckon it will cost £51 million for each parliamentary constituency. They put together a proposal to invest in the existing infrastructure, which would give you 135% increase in capacity. Now, the real problem is that you're going to have commuters facing crush hour conditions across the network, everywhere across the network, because commuters aren't long-distance travellers. And this really, all this does is just point to point, and, it's not even in Leeds, it's not going to Central Station, it's on the other side of the river. So even with you get the benefits of high speed only if you can then continue your journey on without a massive interchange. And there's a massive interchange pretty much everywhere except Euston. And the real problem is that it's not going to benefit the majority of rail passengers, because the majority of rail passengers are commuters. They are short-distance travellers. Like Leeds is the largest place in Western Europe without a light rail system. Ellen Road, was promised a train station in, 1985? And still no sign of that. And this isn't solving the real problems that people face every day. It is a vanity project. It's a fast train of fat cats. It's a project that's got a life of its own. Because
isn't it a project for progress, though, Joe?
Rail sounds like a good idea. We've got to have it.
But the argument is that it's not about speed. It's about, is it not, that we just haven't got enough capacity at the moment to cope with the burden that's been put on the rail system. That's the argument we've heard.
That's the thing. It is about the speed, because the entire business case depends on the speed. Like half the business, they'll say that for every pound you put in, you get £2 back. That depends on the cash value of time. And therefore, basically, if you go faster, you can put a cash value on the time that you saved, multiply that by the fact that every business user on a train is worth 70 grand a year, assume that no one faced with a shorter journey in the morning will spend that extra half an hour or whatever in bed, and you multiply that by grossly inflated passenger forecast, and that's where half the economic benefits come from.